It's a psychological construct that is reflective of how strong, it's a strength to which one feels that the brand is connected to the self. There are two critical components. One is the extent to which consumers see a connection between the brand and themselves. They see the brand as similar to themselves in terms of their values, they identify with it, or they see it as meaningful. The strength of that attachment is also impacted by the degree to which that brand is top of mind. It's part of everyday experiences, and consumers think about it quite often. One of the things I'm going to talk about, 10 lessons of what I've learned about brand attachment. First lesson is that brand attachment is real. There are people that develop these deep attachments to brands. Attachment is a basic human need. It shows up not just in interpersonal relationships, it also shows up in how people think about other entities like their pets, places, celebrities, sports teams, brands, and experiences. There are 4 indicators behaviorally. Number 1 is proximity seeking. They want to be near this brand. They also regard those brands as a safe haven. When the going gets rough and you're anxious, you want to have that brand near you because it provides some kind of psychological solace. The brand, even if you're not feeling anxious, makes you feel good. It has this emotion regulation component to it. And finally, people are very upset when the brand is not available. So there's a notion of separation distress. The second thing that we've learned is that attachment is different from brand attitudes, the extent to which you like a brand. So attitudes are more evaluative judgments. People develop these strong positive attitudes because they've really thought about the brand a lot, and they've weighed its pros and cons. Actually, brand attachment tells us some different things than what brand attitudes do. One develops an attachment relationship through experiences with the brand over time. Whereas you can develop an attitude about a brand by just trying it once. Attitudes are much cooler, evaluative, good, bad. Attachment is very hot. It's driven by passion. One can like a brand and think that, yeah, it's a really good brand, but not really think about it as part of oneself. And if a brand that I have a positive attitude about goes off the market, okay, well, I'll find another brand to replace it. Whereas if a brand that I'm attached to goes off the market, I'm really upset. The other thing we've learned in some of our research is that attachment can be very important because it can insulate brands from situations where consumers have a negative brand experience. The love is blind effect. You love the brand so much, you're willing to overlook small foibles and mistakes that the brand might make. The fourth lesson that we've learned is that attachment seems to have some very important downstream implications for marketers. Brand attachment produces these very powerful effects for marketers, such as positive word of mouth, consumers' loyalty to the brand, their willingness to forgive the brands of mishaps, their desire to be part of a brand community, their willingness to pay a price premium, and so forth. And these outcomes are relevant because they build the financial value of the brand by impacting the acquisition or retention costs that the firm has to bear, or the revenue that it generates. The fifth lesson is that we've looked at what can marketers do to enhance the level of attachment that consumers have in their brand. We distilled a set of factors that we think are common across typologies that have been developed by a variety of different researchers that try to encapsulate the types of values consumers have, the types of needs, the types of goals, etc. Brands can make consumers happy when they fulfill the goals, needs, or values that are reflected in these 3 hierarchical clusters. This is called the 3E model. The extent to which the brand entices the consumer, provides some kind of sensory stimulation. Experiential marketing can be encapsulated into that work on enticement. A second dimension is the extent to which consumers feel empowered by the brand. The brand solves problems. There's been a lot of work on functional products and the extent to which they make consumers feel good. And the last category is one we're calling enrichment. And when consumers feel that the brand enriches them, it does so for a variety of different reasons. Connectedness and belonging, desire to stand out and be different, values consistency. This brand is like me. It inspires me because I want to be like it. It's aspirational. These different kinds of benefits are associated with various emotions. So, and these are all emotions that are associated with happiness. When brands have benefits that are in all three categories, they generate the highest level of attachment. These benefits and their associated emotions create important psychological outcomes on the part of the consumer. It's the interaction of these three things that drive the interaction of these, which in turn impacts the extent to which consumers are attached. We've also been looking at attachment over time. And why is this important? The reason is that brands are not static, and they live in environments where culture has a context. Our social environment is constantly changing. As we age, we meet new people, we develop new interests. And so the issue was, do consumers stay attached, and is their attachment the same? The extent to which the brand connected them to other people was a very important part of driving their relationship. People enter into this brand relationship at multiple points in their lives. They became interested because it was a vehicle for them to commune with their friends and establish other relationships, meaningful relationships in their lives. When we asked them to think about the brand and what it means to them, some of our older consumers cried. They had tears coming to their eyes because the brand was so deep and entrenched in their lives. An eighth lesson that we've learned is that attachment must be nurtured over time. And just because consumers have developed a strong attachment with your brand doesn't mean that they're always going to have that attachment. Brands for which attachment is strong continue to enrich, enable, and entice consumers through multiple iterations of that product. The ninth lesson that we've learned is that the opposite of strong brand attachment is not weak attachment. It's brand aversion. So it's the opposite of I love the brand, it's I hate the brand. And brand betrayal is basically attachment's dark side. The extent to which individuals feel misled about the brand's adherence to norms that guide the brand relationship. When people feel betrayed, their love turns to hate, their trust turns to distrust, and their esteem turns to brand disrespect. And so they develop actually an aversion to it. Not only do consumers initially love you and then hate you, they also hate everything that you're associated with. Consumers are likely to take revenge against the brand. What are the things that the brand does that will allow it to recover? And what we're suggesting is that brands not only have to apologize and elicit compensation, they have to do more than that. They have to empathize with the consumer. They have to promise to change, and they have to invoke some kind of suffering. It's a great area for more research.